pleasure to introduce to you Mr. Mubashir Malik, who we have. He's someone who has excelled in many different fields, and by profession he is a British broadcaster. Not only has he worked for the world's largest oil company, but currently he's also advising on a sovereign wealth fund in Abu Dhabi. But more than all of this, Mr. Malik is an analyst of the banking and the financial world, and his book, which is due to release very soon, Double Standards, is one that sort of sheds light on the double standards in the banking world, with particular attention being paid to the 1991 closure of the BCCI. This event is in conjunction with LSE's Pakistan Week, where we've had a whole host of activities and events to celebrate Pakistani culture and also to shed light on the not so good and the less fortunate things about Pakistan, because we feel that it is only with greater awareness that we can move forward. And it is on that tone that we invited Mr. Mubashir Malik here, because we feel that since we are at the LSE, where people do take a strong interest in the world of finance, and it's important to understand that when we have lots of people who want to enter that field, it's imperative to comprehend the various discrepancies that do occur in this, just like any other industry. And we feel there's no one more pertinent than Mr. Mubashir Malik, who will shed light on how Pakistan stands in the banking industry, as the title of today is called, a banking powerhouse versus Wall Street. And it'll be interesting to see, through Mr. Mubashir Malik's analysis, where Pakistan stands, and of course, with regard to the double standards in the world today. And without further ado, I'd like to welcome Mr. Mubashir Malik. Please give him a round of applause.
Excellent, ladies and gentlemen, Moin, thank you so much for that wonderful introduction. I don't deserve half of what you said, but thank you so much anyway. And I'd like to thank the LSE Pakistan Society, everyone who's come here, and also Meher Shah, who's also invited me. So thank you so much for coming, all of you. I understand the weather's been horrendous, so I do appreciate all of you coming in. Sorry about the delays, just some of the students did finish classes at 6, so I thought we'd just wait a little. Maureen was very correct at the beginning when he said that finance is extremely important for all of us, whether we belong to the world of finance or not, but especially in Pakistan. And to understand the topic, which I'll come to in a second, the title, Banking Powers versus Wall Street, Pakistan has so many problems anyway, on a socio-political and economic level, and we need to address all of those in order to understand this title. But first of all, let's just look at the title first of all, right? First of all, can you hear me, everyone? Is this okay?
Yeah.
Everything's fine? Okay, cool. Pakistan, a banking powerhouse versus Wall Street. Now, you know what? Some of my friends, when they saw this, I was doing this talk, they looked at it, they were like, Pakistan, a banking powerhouse, Mubashir, you're having a laugh. You're having a giggle. Like, Pakistan, a banking powerhouse, out of all things. Is Pakistan even good at banking? Let's just have a little analysis over here, let's have a little survey. What is Pakistan good at? Show of hands, anyone? Yes?
Cricket.
Cricket, okay. When's the last time we won the World Cup? 92, sorry. Correct, thank you, 1992, I was thinking about the bank. 1992 is the last time we won the Cricket World Cup, right, okay? And I'll tell you, there was a time when I used to be a cricket commentator. I used to be sitting with some cricketers, another cricketer on the phone. I'd know all the names of the Pakistani cricket team. I'd be reading off scores from a sheet. I'd know every single thing about Pakistan cricket. These days, quite frankly, I've lost interest. I'm not sure if 2020 is not real cricket, by the way. You do understand that. 2020 is not real cricket, right? If you're going to tell me, oh, we won the 2020 World Cup and blah, 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 it doesn't make sense, okay? You can't count that, okay? Right? Test cricket, yes. I can't play test cricket, I'm not good enough, okay? But if I was, then, you know.
As opposed to one-day cricket.
So one-day cricket, good point. One-day cricket is, okay, I just got that. Very good, see? Anyway. So, one-day cricket, that's something which we could say Pakistan was good at, yes or no?
Yeah.
Yeah? Right. What else is Pakistan good at? Yes, lady in
Charity.
Charity, okay, very good. In Urdu we say, Hamare dil bahut bade. Pakistanis have a really, really, really big heart, and they give. Correct, I will not knock that, okay? What else is Pakistan good at?
Accepting foreign aid.
Well done, round of applause for that gentleman. Accepting foreign aid, and where does that foreign aid go?
Well, in pockets of
Politicians.
the rulers.
Greasy politicians.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. You call them rulers, exactly. The rulers, that's exactly what it is. Anyway, point is, cricket. What about squash? World champions, Jahangir, Jamshir, right? I mean, I'm mentioning things here that Pakistan is traditionally meant to be good at, right? Okay? I mean, apart from, you know, religious intolerance, sectarian violence, blowing people up, apart from all these things, you know, generally Pakistan is meant to be good at cricket and squash. When's the last time we had a squash champion? I can't even remember. Hockey, God, oh my days. Hockey, since I've been a kid, we've been hearing Pakistan was amazing at hockey at one time and everything. It's never happened in my watch. I can't remember the next, I mean, maybe, has Pakistan won anything in hockey?
94.
94, well done. Well, that's excellent. But that's 94, isn't it? How long has that been? Almost 20 years? So, you think about the things which Pakistan is least likely to be good at. I think we're the best at it. And what is that? Banking. And I'll try to prove that in my talk, but you'll also have to read my book later and see the real reason why. So, Pakistan, a banking powerhouse versus Wall Street. And the thing is, right, Wall Street is such a big name. Why can't we make Chandigarh Road like Wall Street? On a serious level. Those of you not from Karachi, it's the economic, you know, the hub, let's call it like the Canary Wharf of Karachi. Would that be correct? Yeah? Chandigarh Road minus the traffic and the smell. Yes? Something like this, right? Let's face it. We have the power to make Chandigarh Road just as good as Wall Street, so people would want. Why is it, by the way, show of hands, who are LSE students here? Okay, right? Or used to be, fine, right? Who would like, and obviously for economics, finance background, who would like to work for a banker in the future? Or, you know, okay, excellent. What bank would you like to work for, sir?
Well, I've just come from Pakistan. I've been working for MCB.
Okay, excellent, Mr. Commercial Bank. Well, what is your dream? Which is your dream bank?
Well, here it might be HSBC.
HSBC, yeah? Excellent. So look at this excellent graduate from LSE. He wants to work for, come from Pakistan, from a bank. He wants to work for HSBC or another big bank. Let's quite face it. I mean, okay, let's have a look, right? These are the banks. Let's see how well you know the banks, okay, generally. Got some logos here, okay? Let's just go from top left over there. The horse, what's that? Lloyd. Well done. Next one. Excellent. Next. Used to be? Abbey National. Who? What did you say? Yeah, okay. Then we're on the here. Now West. Does anyone even bank with Nationwide anymore?
Yeah.
Who's got an account?
Building society. They have a good student account.
Are you a student?
I used to be.
So, okay, fine. So you're gonna do the switch to Santander soon, right? So we've got that, and then last one. HSBC, there you go. So most of these are British, I think they're all British banks. Over here we've got the American ones, Citibank, Morgan Stanley, UBS, JP Morgan, Chase, and all these others. I don't know why HSBC is there, but you've got the American banks there generally, right? Now the thing is, right, I don't blame, sorry, so what your name was? Suhaib. I don't blame Suhaib for wanting to work for HSBC, you know? I was going to say, you know, why don't you work for Pakistani bank, coming from Pakistan and give back Pakistan? But no, I don't blame him, because me standing here, I don't want to be a hypocrite. I want to work for JP Morgan. I want to work for JP Morgan. I've been wanting to work for JP Morgan since I was a kid. In fact, my late father helped me choose my A-levels so that I would be able to get into a university that will allow me to get an internship at JP Morgan, and I still didn't get it. So, this is I really want to get in the way I would do things which I can't tell you in order to get to JP Morgan. I mean, you know, like wrong stuff. I can't mention here. But I should have that passion to work for Pakistan. Why don't I have that passion to work at Gulberg branch of Faisal Bank? Why don't I have that passion to work for a Pakistani institution? So I can be proud and say that. Let's see, on the contrary, how many Pakistani banks you know. Right, look at these wonderful logos. Okay, so what's that top left one? I didn't know that, that's really good. Well done, okay, good stuff. Then we've got the KSB is, by the way, it's a wonderful financial institution. It's one of the up-and-coming ones, and it's doing very, very well, strong in the market at the moment. We've got Bank Al-Falah, which I'll talk about later, yes? Then we have Habib Metropolitan, is it, or what is it? I think it's Habib Metropolitan, excellent, good stuff. Then we've got, I'm not going to go through the whole list, but you get what I mean, okay? You're lucky that you're a Pakistani crowd here, otherwise no one will know what these are, right? Let's face it, would an average Englishman know any of these logos?
Standard Chartered.
Okay, smart asses, calm down. Okay, yes, Standard Chartered, I can see that. That's not meant to be there, it's my fault. It's fine, I wouldn't want to try to find an image with all of these. Anyway, so, why isn't your ambition to join a Pakistani bank abroad? So you've got a qualified degree from LSE, you go do a master's, you go to Reading and do an international certificate or something. Then you spend the rest of your time here, you stay here. What do you do? Why do you want to go back to Pakistan? Why won't you go back to Pakistan and work in banking? Why don't you make these banks which were on the previous screen over here, why don't you do them a favor and give them your expertise? Because how many people actually go back and work for these banks? Over there, they're coming out from LUMS and all these other amazing institutions in Pakistan, and they work for these banks. Some of them don't get the chance to come to London. Anyway, so why can't we turn IIH or Nigger Road into Karachi to Wall Street or Canary Wharf? Why won't you go back to Pakistan? So, sorry, who's come from Pakistan here? Meher. Why won't you want to go back to Pakistan and work there?
I don't like the environment.
The environment? Are you talking about political? Yeah? The political sensibility is because of these guys? Bloody hell, look at that. Look at him, he's loving it at the top right. Mubashir Malik. He's catching jokes. Do you know what it's like? He's won the lottery. I mean, it'd be difficult for him to get a job anywhere else. This guy is a joke at the bottom, right, with his head. This guy, he had a lot of hope. A lot of hope. But he squandered everything with the NRO. He let all these lot in. They're loving it as well. Everything. But let's be fair, he's in a bit of a pickle right now, isn't he? But I hope his health gets better. This guy, I don't have words at the top. Okay? Right? But these lot, they're... Imagine, look at this. Look at the hair there, look at the hair here. I mean, I want the doctor. I've had 2 hair transplants, by the way. I didn't really tell people. But I have. Look at that hairline. That is solid. That is really, really, I mean, they spent more money on this than, they could have used it better. Anyway, I was trying not to be too political in this talk, but, it's very difficult. The banking sector needs political support. Until the political situation in Pakistan doesn't rectify itself, you can't have an efficient banking system. But we have got hope. Well, I need a round of applause for this. Now, at the end of the day, I see people nodding their heads over there. They don't support any political, but it's fine. I don't support any political party. I just think that the ideology and the leadership which Pakistan needs. The main solution is leadership. You've got a strong leadership, it doesn't matter which party you're from. You've got a strong leadership in any financial institution, you can do wonders for it. Any institution which has a strong lead, which I'll give you examples of in a minute, can do wonders, okay? Let's talk about Pakistan at the moment. There's about 30 to 40 commercial banks in Pakistan, but the main 20 in 2012 that were listed on the stock market, right? They posted about combined profit after tax of 118 billion, okay? Which was decent. So it's on a growth level of about 9%. That was back in 2012, right? The big banks, as you see over here, which is United Bank Limited, National Bank of Pakistan, HPL, Muslim Commercial Bank, and Bank of Fly and these lot, right? Their combined assets are about 500 billion. And year on year is increasing, which is good. But my problem is that Pakistan banking sector needs to mature a lot more. And that maturity can only happen when you incorporate the whole of Pakistan, not just the rich elite who actually know how to go into the bank and open accounts. How can we rival Wall Street when the whole of the population isn't even using banking? Let me give you an example. What's the population in Pakistan? 180 million, approx, yes? Approximate bank accounts that were opened in 2012, 20 million. 20 million against 180 million. So the rural people aren't even getting it. Let me give you an example. So they're saying that, they've got a little bit of cash because they're workers, they don't need bank accounts. That's how little money they have because they don't need bank accounts. Yes, that's a fact. But some people, they do get money, they get inheritance and they don't know what to do because the politicians squander it or their landlords squander it. They don't know where to put the money. So if you give them a platform to put the money in and collect deposits from the rural areas, you need to actually go out there and collect these deposits. That's the most important thing. So I think the banking sector needs maturity and they need to enter the untapped market. And as per the State Bank of Pakistan, the total deposits of banks in January 2019 stood at 6.6 trillion rupees, 38% in savings. That's money doing nothing at the end of the day, right? But I do know a lot of people who like to keep the savings in Pakistan because of the higher interest rate. Now, that is sad. At the end of the day, the majority, the top 5% of the rich people in Pakistan, they've got their money abroad in Switzerland and tax havens. They're not keeping the money in Pakistan. You need to keep the money in Pakistan and then see how the economy, you need to give out loans. The money needs to circulate within Pakistan rather than outside. That's the main thing. You get foreign direct investment coming. Let me just talk about foreign direct investment. Foreign direct investment in Pakistan was about $1 billion, the private one in 2013, right? US aid, the gentleman talked about earlier, right? $8.6 billion, right? Out of the original $18 billion which was pledged, right? Okay, after 9/11. And the UK aid that Pakistan got was £665 million overall so far from 2009. The point is, where's this money going? It's not circulating within the banking sector, like the UK is doing, for example, the money the taxpayer gives to bail out banks like Lloyds and RBS, the money, at least they started to do the buy-to-let scheme, no, not the buy-to-let, it's called the help-to-buy scheme, sorry, they've been doing that, and at least the money is being circulated, it's actually helping people in the UK, right? Over here we don't see that at all. Now, we've got some leadership people, okay? We've got some people with some real balls, okay? We've got some people with some stature and some substance. Like this gentleman here, Mr. Arif Naqvi, who's the CEO of the Abraj Group in Dubai. Okay? Now he started out with a very small institution, took his knowledge and skills with a massive team, and he showed the leadership which I'm talking about. The leadership to turn a small institution into someone who now is running a $7.5 billion asset management firm, private equity, venture capital, $7.5 billion. He gave return on investment of up to $4 billion to his investors, right? Now, that is leadership, that is skill, that is knowledge and practice. Now, we need to see more people like that, like Arif, and there are plenty more, but I don't have time to mention all of them, okay? But I will mention a few leaders in Pakistan who need to follow his example and who have followed his example. Pakistan, the banking powerhouse that it is actually there. And they have, what I want to try to get across to you is that the talent we have in banking in Pakistan is unprecedented. And some of these figures over here you'll see, which I'll take you through. We've got Mr. Sirajuddin Aziz at the top left over here, who's CEO of Habib Metropolitan Bank in Pakistan. He was formerly CEO of Bank Al-Falah. Okay? He's done wonders for the industry. He goes from strength to strength, okay? These are all local banks in Pakistan. Next to him we have Mr. Nadeem Naqvi, okay? Who has international banking experience for over 35 years, and he is now currently the CEO of the Karachi Stock Exchange, okay, the KSE, and former CEO of AKD Securities in Karachi, one of the biggest investment firms in Pakistan. Next to him we have Shaukat Tareen, his former finance minister. We've got Shaukat Aziz, less said about him, the better. Former Prime Minister of Pakistan. We've got Mr. Hussain Lawai, who has a wealth of experience in finance and banking, and now is the CEO of Summit Bank. Summit Bank, anyone know about Summit Bank? Yes? It was a merger, had a lot of mergers, took place in Pakistan and created Summit Bank. We've got Mr. Atif Bukhari of UBR, CEO. We've got Atif Bajra of Bank Al-Falah, CEO. We've got Mr. Ahmed Alman Aslam, who's a seasoned banker, career banker with over 25 years of banking and finance experience in Karachi. And we've got Mr. Anwar Zaidi, who's the CEO of Habib Bank UK Limited, Habib Allied International Banking. We've got a pleasure of having him here in the hall as well. And these people are all leaders in Pakistan banking. And the main thing is that my question would be, all these local banks have the potential to become a truly international bank. Why is it? My question to you would also be, and I raised this in my book, why is it that all the banks in Pakistan have shied away from the international arena? So we've got foreign banks like, okay, what are the foreign banks in Pakistan at the moment? You said Standard Chartered, yes, we know that, yeah? Sorry? Sorry, Barclays, yes? Which one bank exited Pakistan recently? Do you know that? Barclays, exactly. HSBC as well, excellent. So,
as well.
Excellent. So all these banks are pretty. What's left? Standard Chartered is the only one, right? Okay. So pretty much. So these banks found opportunity in Pakistan. They came into Pakistan. They settled there. They got subsidiaries or whatever. At the end of the day, then they left. But why is it? Why is it that? And they wanted to do proper international business like retail banking, branch banking, investment banking, right? Okay. Why is it that none of these banks, the local banks, why aren't they incorporating a huge retail network abroad? Now we have got some of these Pakistani banks in the UK. We've got United Bank Limited, and we have a representative here. Please do send your CV afterwards. He's sitting right there in the blue jacket to United Bank Limited in London. I want to encourage all of you to apply to Pakistani banks after this. Okay, you have to. There's a lot of potential. The point is, why United Bank Limited? And we've got Habib Bank Limited very soon. We've got Habib Bank AG Zurich. We've got Habib Bank Allied International Bank. We've got Habib Bank UK. We've got, anyone I'm missing? We've got a number of banks over here in the UK. But what's the purpose of these banks? It's to cater for the local Pakistani market, and the main is money transfers back home. And they make most of the money from it. Why aren't they doing retail banking to everyone else and having why can't we see a lot of retail branches like we see McDonald's signs? Why can't we have an institution that we're proud of that is Pakistani? Why do we shy away from the fact, I work for such and such, I work for Faisal Bank, I work for... Why? And when someone sees a CV from Faisal Bank, or I'm not just singling out Faisal Bank, I'm just saying, just a Pakistani, local Pakistani bank, they see on the CV, why would a potential employer from a Western bank say, you know what, he's working for a Pakistani bank, and Pakistani... Why do we have that attitude? Do you feel that? Do you think that's there still? Yes? Yes or no? Yes. There is a slight, bit of a, prejudice is a hard word, but they do have that thing that why is it, that we don't want to employ someone from there. Maybe it's because of reputation of Pakistan. Reputation of Pakistan in corruption, not with the masses, but with the politicians and the leadership. And that all trickles down to the bottom. If the leadership is corrupt, right, I'm not mentioning any names, but if you, with your vote, can make one of the biggest crooks in the world, president of Pakistan or something like that, then what can you expect from other, other institutions? So thankfully, these gentlemen we have here are men of honor, okay, and they've got leadership skills. And the main thing in banking is trust. You place your money in a bank and you trust the bank to keep your money safe. But what happens when the bank fails? You lose your money, right? But in the UK, they've got an amazing scheme which protects your money up to a certain amount. I think it's...
85,000.
Sorry?
85,000.
85,000. Excellent. Well done. What's your name, sir?
Omar.
Omar. Excellent. Omar. 75,000. Does anyone know when this law was in place? Right? It's quite recent. It's only within about 10, 15 years. Before, it wasn't there. If you lost your money, if the bank collapsed, there was Barings Bank and all these other banks and stuff which collapsed, and this will happen. But all of these people have done a great justice to Pakistan, okay? They've done, and hopefully I'll be able to encourage more people to look up to these gentlemen and make a real impact in Pakistan, okay? But there was one man who has superseded every single person who has entered in banking in Pakistan, and he is long forgotten. Unfortunately, in Pakistan, we have a habit of shaming our heroes. Let's think of some examples. Does anyone know who Professor Dr. Abdus Salam is?
Yeah.
Yeah? Well, who was he?
Physician?
The only Nobel Prize winner Pakistan. The only Nobel Prize winner Pakistan has produced.
Excellent. Have you heard that, guys? The first and the only Pakistani Nobel Prize winner, Dr. Abdus Salam. And what did Pakistan do as a government? Kicked him out. Or he was forced to flee. Humiliated, even after death. Why? Because of his religious belief. And what did Muhammad Ali Jinnah Qaeda base Pakistan on? Did he make it secular? He wanted freedom and tolerance for all religions, regardless of religion. Ready? If Dr. Abdus Salam was a Christian, a Hindu, a Jew, a Buddhist, an atheist, he has the right to live in Pakistan and do whatever he wanted, but he was singled out and humiliated because of his religious beliefs, whatever they were. And unfortunately, that's what we do in Pakistan. But one man stands out from the rest. Does anybody know who this man is? Anybody heard of him? Mr. Aga Hassan Abdi, founder of United Bank Limited, UBL. A genius, a banking genius. There's some people in this hall who have had the opportunity to meet him and work with him. They're very lucky people. This man changed the face of Pakistan banking forever. This man was a single man, single-handedly took Pakistan on a global scale, more than Mr. Imran Khan did when he won the World Cup in 1992. Sorry for my early mistake. This man put Pakistan on the map on a colossal scale. He created a banking institution with his genius mind, but also he had tunnel vision of humility and success. I'll talk about that a bit later as well. However, a bit about Mr. Aga Hassan Abdi. He was born in Lucknow, in pre-partition Pakistan in India, okay? And he joined Habib Bank Limited. At that time, we weren't branching out too many of Habib Bank. There was the one original Habib Bank family, and he joined there. And he worked diligently. He worked hard, and he made something of himself. He went up the ranks in Habib Bank, and then he became so successful, right, okay, that at one time there was actually, in front of the Rawalpindi, I think there was the stock exchange or something, there was a need for a bank. He set up a stool, he put up a table, a few chairs, he had a safe deposit box, right? I'm talking about rural Pakistan at that time, right? And he started people coming in, he put a banner saying Habib Bank. And that was one of the first branches in that little vicinity. And that's how he got customers, and he was an amazing networker. And for banking people, you need strong personalities to get out there. So he went really high up in Habib Bank. And then he decided that he was too ambitious for that. Habib Bank wasn't fulfilling his passion and his goals in total. So he established a new bank, United Bank Limited. Okay, and that was in the 50s, and it became one of the largest banks in Pakistan. It still is one of the largest banks in Pakistan right now. Okay, but as you correct me, is it UBL is it number 2 or 3 in Pakistan at the moment?
Private banks is number 2.
Number 2. There you go. Even now it's existing. That says something. I'll come on to that later about why it's important that UBL is still in existence. So, around circa 1964, 1965, Mr. Abdi started going to a small area called the Trucial States. You might have heard the Trucial States in the 60s and 70s. He started going there and started to think that, okay, let me try and establish a branch of UBL in the Trucial States, which later on turned to, when independence happened and they found, turned into the United Arab Emirates, which we now know as the UAE, which incorporates the capital of Abu Dhabi. Okay? When he was going there and he met this man. Okay? His Royal Highness, the late Sheikh Zayed bin Sultan Al Nahyan of UAE, United Arab Emirates, the founding father and president of the United Arab Emirates. Now, at this time, around say 1967, 1968, Abu Dhabi and Dubai, put your hands up to Dubai. Okay? People who've been to Dubai, say around 20 years ago, they would know that Dubai was a complete desert. Okay? Sheikh Zayed himself, a genius man, right? An intelligent man, a loving man, a giving man, the founding father of the UAE. He kept his money where in the 60s? Anybody have any idea?
Pakistan.
In Pakistan? No. A good try, it's fine. He kept it under his bed, right? In the bed, in the desert, because it was desert. And they had, what did they say, like the homes made of the sandstone, or however they make it back in the days in the desert, I'm not an expert, but he kept his money under the bed. And there was a problem, because circa around 1970, 71, 68, 69, around that area, 68 to 71, what happened to UAE? They found oil. Masses of oil, colossal amounts of oil. More oil than anyone could ever imagine. And who knew about this apart from Sheikh Zayed? This man. He had that vision. Agha Sanabdi was a visionary. Not only was he a genius, he was a visionary. He knew how to make his vision a reality. And he nurtured this vision along with his relationship with Sheikh Zayed. And he made sure that Sheikh Zayed got his return on investment. He invited Sheikh Zayed to Pakistan for hunting trips, because Sheikh Zayed was very, very fond of hunting. He basically became the personal banking advisor to Sheikh Zayed of Abu Dhabi, the first banking advisor. Some would go to the extent when money started pouring into the UAE, obviously, Sheikh Zayed couldn't keep the money underneath his bed anymore, yes? So in the same way I said how the rural places, they needed money in Pakistan, Sheikh Zayed used the UBL branch in UAE to store his money, okay? But Agha Sanabdi became restless. He knew that he was destined for more than one branch of UBL in Dubai. He knew he was destined for more than just UBL in Pakistan. And because he was such a visionary and such an eloquent leader, and he could foresee the future, he knew that UBL was going to face problems in the next 2 years. And what problem was going to happen in 1971, 1972? The president at the time, Prime Minister President at the time, Zulfikar Ali Bhutto, was going to nationalize the banks in Pakistan. What would that mean? That would mean that UBL, the baby of Agha Sanabdi, would become nationalized. And that is, I think that was one of the biggest mistakes in Pakistan history, to nationalize. And in many cases you will see, even in the UK here, when we've seen that, the taxpayers earning RBS and Lloyds, it does not do justice. And the people get frustrated, the banking system gets frustrated, there's no lending going on, everything's a mess, the money goes to the politicians or whoever's in charge. So Agha Sanabdi foresaw this fact that UBL, his bank, was going to be nationalized. And that's what happened. In 1971, he was put under house arrest. He was put under house arrest and his passport was confiscated. And then he tried to fly to Abu Dhabi and tried to get permission to open up a new bank with money of $2.5 million of capital from Sheikh Zayed. And because of his friendly nature and his international reputation and acumen, with the blessing of the Bank of America, the biggest bank of the world at that time, as a 30%, at that time, don't get happy. Not very big. Okay, so it's pretty big. Bank of America, we'll talk about that later. Bank of America, 30% shareholding. Power of Sheikh Zayed of Abu Dhabi. what was created? What I said before. There was a bank. Has there ever been a bank in Pakistan or around the world, a Pakistani bank, Arab-owned bank, which people could be proud of? Yes. Has there been, and where there's a lot of crime going on, Pakistanis are normally at the forefront, they did that as well. But let's see. This bank was created, the Bank of Credit and Commerce International, BCCI. Many of you might never have heard of it, quite rightly, because it doesn't exist anymore. It was shut down in 1991. That was the day I was looking for before. And why was it shut down, we'll talk about later. But this bank became the 4th largest private bank in the world. Some say 7th, some say 4th, depending on which magazine you're reading. But it became one of the largest financial institutions in the world, without a doubt, by assets. It grew phenomenally strong. So it was Aga Sanabdi incorporated in Luxembourg in 1972 because he knew UBL was going to be nationalized. So the intent, this is very important, the intent to create BCCI was so that he could have an international presence. He had a bank, he had a vision to make the bank a third world bank, to bridge the gap between the West and the East, to be a truly global third world bank, not just a Pakistani bank. BCCI rose to phenomenal levels, had branches in every corner of the world. In the plushest places of London, the only ATM outside Harrods was BCCI's main, outside near Buckingham Palace, Green Park, you name it. There were 4 branches of BCCI on Park Lane alone. Park Lane is a small stretch of land where it houses the Dorchester Hotel. 4 branches in a 10-minute walk. What does that mean? It was beginning to tick people off, I'm telling you that. When people saw little branches of BCCI, this logo, all over London, people started raising eyebrows. Where's this money coming from? Why are they being so successful? So all these small banks are probably getting worried. What's going on here? I mean, just to give you an idea, right? When it was incorporated in 1972 with $2.5 million capital, BCCI in 1972, then in 1973, within only 1 year, deposits of $200 million in 1 year, okay? 45 branches opened within 3 years in the UK alone. 72 branches were opened, 72 countries, over 500 offices within 18 years, okay? 2.2 billion in deposits by 1977, and it became a $20 billion bank by 1991. The growth was phenomenal. It was the fastest growing bank in the world at that time, okay? Obviously, with such fast growth and such success comes consequences, and you have to face the consequences, right? The point was that BCCI became a victim of its own success. And there are a lot of lessons to be learned about this, which you will learn in my book. This is this is a draft cover at the moment, which is made by an amazing artist from the Grosvenor Galleries, Faisal Butt, who's also graced us with her presence, and this book will be released later. We'll talk about that later. But I'll talk about it. The point is, the reasons for the, we'll talk about what the consequences were, and in later detail, someone would like to ask me a question at the end. I'm not going to go into the detail. But the point is that with great success always comes a lot of envy. And I'm not saying that there was envy, but you know, when you see the facts, when you're talking about the facts, there has to be more reasons about that. Okay, so Mr. Abadi started to brush shoulders with pretty much everyone in the world. As you can see, we've got Jimmy Carter, we've got the Pope, we've got Muhammad Ali, we've got Prince Charles. Every single person was a friend of Aga Sanabdi. He had that knack in him. He had the charisma. He would walk into a room, right, and have everyone's attention, not like me over here. Pretty much, okay? He would have someone, he would grasp the attention, and he would make sure that someone is becoming his friend afterwards. And everyone loved him. There was no reason for anybody not to love him. He was an honest, intelligent man. And that was what got to people, that how has this bank literally come from nowhere in the desert and it's got little branches all over the world, okay? And it became one of the most powerful banks. So people wanted to work for BCCI. Now, all the other banks were probably worried, why is this happening, you know? Where's the deposits coming from? There's simple answers to that, you know, I'll tell you about that later. But what happened afterwards? It got reduced to this. Time magazine front cover, 1991, the world's sleaziest bank. How BCCI became a one-stop shopping center for criminals and spies, and how the US is trying to cover up its involvement. It's like watching a CSI or something like that. It's, you know, these headlines. You Google it, this is what you get. So what does this make the reputation of Pakistan banking now? So if someone had on their CV BCCI, would you want to hire them? Yes or no? No. With BCCI on their CV, with that headline, what's going on here? Would anybody hire someone who's worked with, like, the right-hand man of Bernie Madoff? Would anyone? It's all about reputation. When the media goes on an attack, this is what happens. So, again, going back to the title, the Pakistani banking industry cannot grow that far when there's a sense of, there's a reputation at stake. When the people are attacking the mere reputation, it's very, very difficult at the end of the day. So this is what the Pakistani banking reputation has been reduced to. Okay, the sleaze bank, the sleaze factor. It's very disheartening for people who want to enter. So now people are afraid of opening a global Pakistani bank because of what happened to BCCI. Okay, it's very difficult. As I said, I will be mentioning this more the full details in my book of why this has happened exactly. Mr. Al-Sanabdi had the vision, and he had many speeches. He would go and sit in go to Geneva, and he would go to Luxembourg and Davos and give talks for hours and hours and hours. And people would listen. He would talk about humility and giving. He wouldn't talk about balance sheet or assets or things like this. He would talk about giving, the purpose of giving back to the third world. Now, he did not only want to stop at BCCI, he wanted to create a third world bank, which the blueprint was made, everything was ready, but it wasn't allowed to start. The third world bank would be a truly global bank, which would have nothing to do with Pakistan. And that wasn't able to take place. So the conventional definition of management is what he would get at. The real management. So Pakistani banking needs to come out from the grassroots level and change their management style. And it's called real management. My second book, which will start in the summer, will discuss the talk about real management. It will be a real management thesis about what is real management. And his definition, Al-Sanabdi, was the conventional definition of management is getting work done through people. But real management is developing people through work. If your workforce and your colleagues and your people respect you and they're working for a greater purpose, they don't just see salary in their pocket. So you get your salary every month and that's it, you're working for a salary and you're just going to be shuffling papers, like Nawaz Sharif was shuffling papers in front of Obama, dear Mr. President. And I thank you for adopting me as this. Did anyone saw that speech? It's embarrassing. Anyway, the point is, you need the management style, the leadership needs to be visionary. And once the leadership is visionary, everything else trickles down from the bottom. I know people, I'm sure you, but the culture of Al-Sanabdi and the BCCI generally, apart from the negative media, the culture of management and professionalism was unparalleled. And they see that because if you go back, majority of these people, you'll be surprised, have come from BCCI themselves. At the moment, sitting in the top positions in Pakistan banking. But some of them don't even want to put it on their CV. Some of them don't even want to mention that they work for BCCI. There was actually a guy, in fact, I think in Nawaz Sharif's cabinet at the moment, Khaja Asif, he worked for BCCI in Abu Dhabi. He did a maligning attack on Shahid Khan, and that's why I don't really have good terms with him. But anyway, the point is, these guys have all got a great inbuilt theory of humility, and that's giving back. So there was no criminal element. As I said, the details will be in my book, but why did BCCI collapse and fail? It didn't. It was solvent. It didn't collapse. It didn't fail. It was shut down forcefully by 7 regulators. And it was shut down, frozen, all the assets were frozen, and people were kicked out, and that's what happened. It did not, if people, literally, as I was having conversations, people think that it was insolvent. It collapsed. It didn't. Lehman collapsed, yes? Lehman Brothers collapsed, Barings collapsed, all these other banks collapsed. BCCI was shut down. Absolutely. Why? These are some of the problems that BCCI faced. There was no single regulator or central bank. So these days in the world of AML and compliance, you need to understand that regulation is getting fierce. Now, as an analyst in AML, I can tell you that these regulations, the regulatory authorities are seemingly tightening their fist at the moment, right? All the regulations from, all those regulators and the regulatory authorities, they're cracking down. The bank which is closest to my heart, JP Morgan, is under fire, paying out fines left, right, center. They have to put about $30 billion aside. They already have spent about $13 billion, which is the largest fine in the world, ever. Superseding HSBC and that. Anyway, it was incorporated in Luxembourg, and so it had offices in London and Abu Dhabi, so its ownership was confusing. Okay? It was growing too fast, it became a victim of its own success, jealous by prying eyes. There was an American acquisition, which I'll go into detail in my book, but afterwards we can ask a question. First American and NBG acquisition, there was a battle, a fierce American acquisition where BCCI seemingly took over one of the largest banks in America, which it didn't. It was just a manager. Then there was a Tampa money laundering incident. It was a sting operation, okay? And then they had 1985 Central Treasury losses. There was a power vacuum. When Aga Sanapi had a heart attack in 1988, there was some part. The biggest other thing was a negative media attack, no matter what. If at the end of the day, if I come and say to you, listen guys, you know, I didn't steal the donut from the tray, but every newspaper in the world is saying that I stole that donut, and I've got witnesses in this room who said I stole the donut, when I didn't steal the donut. You believe I stole the donut. End of story. So this is what happened. It's the negative media attack, and you see negative media attacks everywhere. I mean, I don't want to go into politics again, but weapons of mass destruction, WMDs, were they there? No. Did they believe they were there? Yes. But that's what happened. And then there was some creative accounting going on at BCCI. At the end of the day, BCCI had a lot of issues like this creative accounting. But fundamentally, it was a good bank. False acquisitions. They actually accused that BCCI was creating a bomb. It's stupid, it's a bank. Why would it create a bomb? It might have a client who wanted to do interesting things or something, but it had nothing. Terrorist financing, weapons proliferation. It was created with the intent of fraud, which I told you it wasn't, because I showed you why it was created. Web and maze of entities for purpose of malpractice. If you look at the Bank of America organizational structure and the chart, you'll realize that it's equally complex and it's mind-boggling, but that's what happens when you have a large institution. You have an organizational structure, but it's not made to confuse you. You just have subsidiaries and other entities which come as part of that organization. And then they were talking about the illegal American acquisitions, and they said that BCCI was insolvent and bankrupt when it wasn't. Let's just talk quickly about, if we say that BCCI, let's say it was the worst corrupt institution in the world, okay, and they shut it down, good, well done, okay? It was Pakistani, great, Pakistanis are corrupt, anyway, forget them, just finish it, right? What's been going on with all these banks? HSBC, Standard Chartered, Barclays, all these ones which I'm mentioning here, what's been going on? And my favorite, JP Morgan at the bottom. You know, are they also being maligned by the media? What's been going on there? Let's just have a look over here. So we had a £290 million fine on Barclays for the LIBOR scandal. Anyone remember LIBOR? What was LIBOR?
Rigging the LIBOR rates.
Yeah, LIBOR. What does LIBOR stand for? Anybody know?
London Interbank Borrowing Rate.
Excellent. London Interbank net borrowing rate. Okay. What that means is that the LIBOR actually, it controls about $350 trillion to $800 trillion per year, right? That's how much LIBOR affects. Imagine that, 350 trillion. 350 trillion US dollars is enough, ladies and gentlemen, to cover USA spending for the next century. Total USA spending for the next century, that's how much LIBOR controls, and that's what the LIBOR fixing banks meddled with. That's a huge, huge, huge thing. Okay? Then we've got Goldman, we've got SPE, special entities, and we've got CDOs, collateralized debt obligations. These are structured financial problems which are put in a maze and then sold on to other investors, and it's all fraudulent at the end of the day, right? And they pull together these cash-generating assets, and then they blow them up and they deflate the value, inflate the value, and this is what they did with LIBOR as well at the end of the day, And then we've got insider trading, Bank of America, Merrill Lynch, when they did the false statements to the media at the end of the day, they were saying they gave $150 million settlements when they're saying they were buying it, but they weren't buying it, blah, blah, blah. False speculation. These are all serious crimes which was going on. And at the end of the fourth quarter, Merrill Lynch suffered almost about $15 billion in losses. That's in one quarter if you're having $15 billion losses. BCCI, in total, in a whole year, suffered 500 million losses only, and they were like, oh my god, what's going on? Okay? 500 billion, sorry, 1 second, yeah, we've got 60, now we talk about UK banks, okay? We own, the UK tax, anyone who pays tax here owns RBS and Lloyds, okay? That's the fact, and they're getting bailed out so much. Yeah, 500 billion was the cash injection by the UK government into RBS and Lloyds and all these other banks, which were in trouble. There was no cash injection by the taxpayer with BCCI. Who injected the cash? Sheikh Zayed of Abu Dhabi. He was the rightful owner over there. He was behind BCCI 100%. There was an $8 billion fund for BCCI ready. And Bank of England, now known as the FCA and PRA, refused to accept the agreement, or they signed an agreement and refused it and shut the bank down anyway. So you've got to question what actually happened there. And in RBS, George Osborne, funny fellow, $38 billion of toxic loans, ring-fenced. That never happened with BCCI. Ring-fenced toxic loans, a bad bank within a good bank, and that's how they play it. But then again, and you see, at the end of the day, Societe Generale is the front runner in money laundering. Standard Chartered, Iranian transactions, $500 million worth of these banned sanctions at the end of the day, and how they got away with it. It's fundamental. HSBC, the king of money laundering, £1.2 billion in fines in 2012. BCCI was accused of $14 million of money laundering. 14 million in 1991. The world money laundering market in 1991, according to that same Time magazine which you saw, was $200 billion. $200 billion in front of BCCI being accused of 14 million. Small fish to fry. So who was doing the rest of it, the rest of the 200 billion? It's the same people probably doing it now. Yes or no? No one else is penalized. BCCI is no longer in existence. So who's doing it now? All these other banks. Everyone. I'm not singling anyone out. And I'm not calling for these banks to be shut down like BCCI. I'm just questioning the fact whether the decision to close that bank, and at the end of the day we're here to discuss Pakistan banking, and obviously the reputation is as such, that after the zillat, they said after the basti and the insults that people face as a major Pakistani institution being maligned in the international media. Anything happens, we match fixing or ball scratching, we get really like, oh no, it's Pakistan, yeah? Or when there's a bombing in London, or suicide bombing, we're all like, please don't let it be a Pakistani. Yes or no? Because there are consequences. And in banking even more so, because they just label you. And let me tell you one thing. What BCCI was accused of is a parking violation compared to what these banks are doing now, which I've just talked about, but in my book I'll be going into greater detail. Just a parking violation. So, aftermath of the forced liquidation and closure of BCCI was phenomenal. As I said, the livelihoods ran, UK depositors once say, the stigma and stereotype, and Deloitte and Touche, by the way, anyone working for Deloitte here? Formerly working for Deloitte? Okay, a lot of people, it's fine. I'll still say what I want to say. There was a man called Sir Fred Goodwin. Anyone heard of him?
Yes.
Yes? You've heard of Fred Goodwin? Who is Sir Fred Goodwin?
Former RBS CEO who led the bank to complete, he led the bank to complete bankruptcy, and therefore it had to be bailed out by the government.
Yeah. He shredded it, yes? Fred the Shred, they call him. Fred the Shred. He completely, yes?
I want to add also,
There you go.
he bought ABN AMRO without doing due diligence, which was probably one of the worst banking deals of history, and that was the largest acquisition, but that was without due diligence, which to me doesn't make any sense, because why would you buy a bank without looking into its books? And RBS before that, they didn't have toxic assets, but ABN AMRO had so many toxic assets, which led to its ultimate bankruptcy.
Excellent. Do you know how much losses ABN AMRO was giving on the balance sheet? 24 billion. And that's after Fred the Shred. And he went sorry, what was your name, sir?
Hissam.
Hissam, excellent Hissam. Round of applause for Hissam, well done. Good man. When Fred the Shred went on an extreme acquisition spree, it's like going on a shopping spree. He went crazy, okay? And now he made such a mess of RBS that it's come down to its knees. And a good friend of mine, Mr. Ian Fraser, is releasing a book next month, by the way, called, I think it's Shredded. I think that's the name of the book, Shredded. It's a good name. If I've got the name wrong, then I apologize. But I think by Ian Fraser, do go buy it by RBS. It's about RBS and how Fred Goodwin brought RBS to his knees. But funnily enough, the same Fred Goodwin, who people call him Sir Fred Goodwin, he was knighted, he was the chief liquidator of BCCI. He started his career at a firm called Touche Ross, which then became Deloitte & Touche and is now known as Deloitte. It's a major accounting firm, one of the big four. And they had a laugh at BCCI. They racked up £1 billion in fees, in liquidation fees. Yeah? Up till date. And only recently it got closed. There was a major case against Bank of England as well, that went on for 20 years. they pay the fees for that and everything. First class flights, 5-star hotels all over the world. Liquidation fees, £1 billion, give or take. And they said BCCI was insolvent. So where did that money come from? 98% of all deposits have been paid back. So if you had £1,000 in the bank, you would have got 9,800 back by now. If you're in the UK, everywhere else in the world, you would have got 100% of your deposits back if you lost a penny in BCCI. How was it insolvent? It wasn't. Sheikh Zayed was the owner. It backed it up. It wasn't insolvent. Whereas RBS and Lloyds is owned by you guys, the 2K taxpayers. Right? You're not getting money. Are they giving you money? No. They're taking money from you. Anyway, so Fred the Shred. Now they've taken off his knighthood title as well. This is what's happened. So Fred the Shred, he's a funny character, but I'd like to meet him one day. Anyway, so the liquidation proves the bank was not insolvent. Stigma and stereotype of Pakistan banking has been stamped. We are not capable of running banks. We are not capable of playing cricket. We are not capable of playing squash. What are we capable of now? Corruption. Yeah? But I'm telling you guys, this can change. And you, the youth of Pakistan, many of you, the youth of Pakistan, some of you legends of Pakistan here, sitting here, you can still have time to change it. Okay? Can we do it again? Can another BCCI minus the controversies and scandals and the corruption take place? To be honest with you, BCCI senior management wasn't corrupt. In every institution, as you saw, all the names which I mentioned over here, right? All these employees, I have colleagues at every single one of these banks, okay? Apart from, no, all of them. Colleagues at all of these, friends at all of these banks, okay? All of them are God-fearing, hard-working people. It's not the employees' fault. All of these banks are good banks, and I would like to work for the bank at the bottom here, JP Morgan. I keep saying it. This is. I'm saying and telling you guys that all of these employees are fine. But if you shut down a bank, can you imagine? Let's say Goldman Sachs. Can you imagine Goldman Sachs being shut down because an employee at Canary Wharf, gave away some secrets to, just some insider trading? They've been doing it for years. Nothing's happened. So this is what happened with BCCI. There was a sting operation in Tampa, Florida, where in Florida some people came in, some fake drugs, money traffickers. They came in Florida. They tempted these poor Pakistani guys. They got salaries to feed people in Tampa, Florida, along with some European guys. They tempted them. They gave them money, for about 14 million or something to help launder the money. Laundering probably happened, okay? And then they indicted the whole